Thank you, Anna, for your thought-provoking perspective. Our next speaker is Nicole Phinopoulou, a lawyer and ESG sustainable finance expert who will address sustainable finance in the energy sector, ESG considerations. Please welcome Nicole.
Good morning, everybody. So today, actually following up all three previous speech, we're connecting the dots. So just remember that we all have to connect the puzzle now, and we're going forward. Just going forward for now is just briefly to understand what the ESG considerations are, but also more specifically for the energy sector, because energy actually you will understand from now and will be seen. I will be trying to do very fast some things, that connecting all together and what we call and what we know as Green Deal. Green Deal is not one thing, it's a lot of things. So just to make a quick question, how many of you can raise your hands, don't be afraid, know what ESG means? Okay, ESG considerations? One. So you have heard before what ESG, which is environment, social governance, but how you will take the considerations into practice. And that each industry is different, and we'll see it now, but they're all connected. Going forward, as it's good because you all have heard before what ESG means. Just fast forward. Also ESG, you have also heard of sustainability. What sustainability means? Sustainability is mean be viable. So it's connecting the dots ESG. At the end, the middle is sustainability. This is what it means. It's how you connect the dots in your business. This is disclaimer. Okay. Why we're going a little bit fast forward, so why are here? We are, as Cyprus, we are a member of European Union, well known. Also politically, Ms. Anna explained that. So why we ended up? If you see the whole thing, it was coming from the financial regulations. Money, as we said, everywhere, money talks and everybody works. It's not about the money, but the money, don't ever forget that Europe is a consumer-based industry. And you are all in the business. So your major partners are your consumers, no matter what. And your suppliers, your employees, everybody. So if you see all came and connected, and you will notice that sustainability is here. But it's part of the circle. So that was the previous one for the European Union, but it continues. It still evolves. So going forward, we started from financial regulation. We had all what we know, financial services, market. I'm sure you all have heard that as corporate governance, because it's a governance. So they connected all the dots. But because they started from the financial, because as ESMA, the European Securities Community, was the first thing that they could put penalties and to be able to enforce the big boys, the big companies, to do something, and also came from climate. And then all these financial crime, anti-money laundering, I know that you all hear about it, KYC, because if you go to a bank, to anyone, they're all connected, and what they came and say, we are talking about sustainability reporting, sustainable finance. So they ended up all to be heard differently, sustainable finance. Sustainable finance, effectively, it connects, it's starting to connect all the dots. Fast forward, just to where we are now, is that sustainable finance is the European Union policy, is already in the Treaty of European Union since 1954. We're not going through this now, but it's something that is there. So as Cyprus, because we are a member of the European Union, you have to also apply that, but sustainability is very good for being viable and continue, and also to save our climate and our wealth. So sustainable finance, when we say it, is understood, and this is written. It's written in the treaty, the European Union Treaty. It's understood as finance to support economic growth while reducing pressures to the environment to help reach the climate and environment objectives of the European Green Deal, taking into account social and governance aspects. I know it sounds very much, but this is what it is. So somewhere they had to start it. That's where the European Green Deal first was heard. It was what we know as European Green Deal. Okay, in Greek is pronounced as Prasini Symphonia, I will say it in Greek, but effectively it's not green because it's green, because environmental. We'll see now why. So going forward, also it was said there that expect, because they started from the financial, expect from the investor preferences. Sustainable finance means the investing preferences. So your stakeholders and all the funds, where do you do your loans, or how do you support AI? Because to support AI and digital transformation, the company has to be able to support this financially and to pay for the evolution. So it's a significant driver of demand for sustainable assets. Will, now is, before it was will, when they started all this in 2009. When it was heard outside, it was from before, but it was coming out. And also be, now it's part of the new European Plan for Sustainable Finance. So what you have here, and I'm sure you have heard this, is the SFDR and TR. SFDR is Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, and the TR is a taxonomy regulation. I'm sure you are hearing all this, but you will understand at the end of the day when someone gets into it, how are all connected. And this is part of the regulatory compliance and your corporate governance people and teams to be able to educate you. Sorry. No, I'll stay here. It's okay. No, I'm okay. You are okay? So what you said to the disclaimers? Okay. So this is going back, we say how a lawyer, me, for example, knows about all this. My background is a lawyer, but my expertise is financial and banking and how you evolve to add up all the dots and how a company is corporate governance and regulatory compliance, how a company can be viable. It hasn't changed something. Even if you go, especially we're in Cyprus, we have the common law, we have companies law. We are based on common law. So what was said in the companies, if the accountants come and say to you, if you are viable, what it means to be viable, to be sustainable. So to be there, to be able to operate. If you cannot operate, if you cannot pay your bills, if you cannot pay your creditors, everybody, then you are not viable. So this is the idea. It's just the good thing going forward with the climate. It helps to change the name, not to change the name, to be sustainable finance and to be more prudent for the environment. That's why the Green Deal. So going forward, sustainability reporting and sustainable finance. The goal, and this is also written in European Union mandate since 1993, when the euro came to our life, is reorient capital towards a more sustainable economy by incentivizing financial intermediaries to offer more sustainable investment products in 2022. And why? Because if you have products, market products, either loans, either funds, either ships, either oil, everything. Products. Product means everything. What consumer can use to do its job. So it was reinstated in 2022. Going forward, I'm sure you have heard everything. The acronyms ESG, NFRD, CSRD, CSDDD, Sustainable Finance. All these are tools, are coming how you can affect in your companies, in your industry. Either it's called shipping, either it's called education, either it's called motor oil, petroleum, how to come. So I will not say about Cyprus resilience plans, but all the resilience plans of Cyprus, when we got the funds at Cyprus, 1.2 billion, we had to apply one of our things. So I'm not going to go through all this. It was where we started, where we came from. So in 2030, just a little bit background is that in 2030, the UN agenda, what happened in 2016, when it was the Paris Climate Agenda, when all the people came around, I mean, the G20, G7, United Nations, everybody, US, the big economies, they realized that they have to do something. And what it was obvious to be seen, it was the climate, because you can see the environment. You cannot see under. And then underwater, it was the big thing. And also Europe understood, as correctly Anna said before, understood that it's getting old, as the old continent. And they have to survive, and they have to give something to people. So the idea, so it was vital for people, prosperity, planet, partnership, peace. This is how it came. So on that, the ESG factors arise. So this is how the idea of ESG became. But it's the idea. The tools is sustainability, sustainable finance. And then all came together. We have the UN framework. A lot of frameworks came up. So, and this is what came. I'm sure you have seen this before, I believe. Now I hope everybody knows this. This is the 17 goals of the United Nations, and we have a lot of things. From this one, I would like to ask you, where do you see energy on one of these? Anyone from the 17? It's one number. It's called one number. Anyone? Someone? It's 7. Here. It says 7, adorable and clean energy. That will show you now that it's not only that one, it's everything. Energy is in everything. But they have to split it. And all this split further down. So just for the history, it was the World Economic Forum that came step by step. It wasn't in one night that this happened, that add up all together the policies and got ESG in the middle. So what Europe said, especially after COVID, that what money they needed to come and to finance all this transformation. Because it's not transition, it's transformation. It's what you have and how you implement. So they made the deal. It was IMF, International Monetary Forum, the big economies, and how to support with loans and funding. So what we said is sustainability is corporate social responsibility, the CSR. It's not only charity, the CSR. We'll see that. And sustainable finance. Together are the sustainability. So just to clear in your mind. Going further, then Europe, because understood as an old continent that has to be, in part, it now supports 28 member states, 27, sorry, at the time was 28. So they said about how they can help. So they got all the UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, these are the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17, into their implementing the Sustainable Development Goals through the next multi-annual financial framework of the European Union. This is the structure, and this is how it continues, even before and now. So this is what Europe said, and this is how it breaks down, how they break it to environment, social, governance. You will see that the idea of energy, more or less, is in everywhere. So we go forward. And then the mandate was given by European Union how to implement everything. And the idea was to the governments to find ways to finance and to fund the transformation. So it's just whatever you hear about the EU programs, it comes from mandates that was given from abroad. The ESG is the old known how it was started. It was a sustainable investment, but now we are more forward down and we have procedures. So snapshot we set, forward. So you have now sustainable. There's a lot of tools. All these directives are tools. Tools, but the meaning, because they're regulations and frameworks, if you are supporting consumers, if you are offering something to consumers, if you are offering products, either it's oil, petroleum, or cars, you have to be able to apply it. And why the reason is important you have the products? Because you have licenses and you have to get better pricing. This is how it comes. I know I'm very hard on this, but this is the reality we live. We live as lawyers or accountants. So forward. So what we said, we had the Paris Agreement, okay, and then you have the European Green Deal, what you hear, Green Deal. So you have Sustainable Finance Action Plan, how to monitor all capital momentum and the capitals towards clean energy. And then you have the corporate governance and generally the reporting. They are all connected. That's why I said at the beginning, connect the dots. It's a puzzle. So this is what we know as European Green Deal. And you will hear here that we started from the basic, from the environment. So this is how connected. And the targets of 2030. This is all come from European Commission. You have energy taxation directive, energy efficiency directive, renewable energy. So they started from something that they could control. It was the energy. The energy, and we'll come down now to this. This is what they said first, clean energy. The energy per se, at the time, this is in 2016. This is how Europe came, and what they said as clean energy, they thought it under the sustainable finance. To go back to what we said before, is to prioritize energy to give, they had the sun, they had the sea, they have. So they tried to use all this. So they started from renewable energy, but they're all connected. So to give people integrated. So this is what they wanted to do. This is what changed now. Actually, they reinstated it. It was like EU policy protects the environment and seeks to minimize risks to climate, human health, and biodiversity. So it comes to give European Green more tools and more topics to be able to be the first, Europe to be the first climate neutral continent, because they understood that it's in the middle of, it's one of the oldest, it's the oldest continent in the world. So it's just the same and it's evolving. So what they said, and I will come to this, energy policy. Energy policy is very in the heart core of Europe. So it's delivering secure, sustainable, and affordable energy for European citizens and business. But so far, you haven't heard me say what energy means, how energy is defined. This is how it's defined, energy. I'll read it. And this is how it's defined by Europe, not Europe generally, but it was embraced by Europe as well. And this was embraced in 2006, when the first energy policy plan was happened and was published. So energy is the ability, what is defined as the energy? Energy is the ability to do work. Modern civilization is possible because people have learned how to change energy from one form to another and to use it to do work. So it's a very general thing. So what we saw before on the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, all effectively, they all have energy in a way, if we take it in the general meaning. There's no definition, oil, shipping, petroleum, car, water. So what are the three pillars of European energy policy? Energy has always been considered as a matter of sovereignty. If you control energy, one form of energy, you consider sovereign. So that's why all the wars are happening now. Not all, but we can understand that, because if you consider what is the control, Iran to Israel, what happened yesterday, Lebanon, Ukraine, Russia, and everyone. Because a lot of things have energy. They can give people jobs, they can get the soil, they can get a lot of recovery. And not only natural resources, a lot of resources. So the EU energy policy is based, again, on three pillars. Internal market is the Eurozone. This is the internal, jobs, how you monitor consumers, migration and climate change, and security of supply. When we say security of supply, we don't mean the security to be safe, but the supply of the supply chain. So this is one of the tools that came. It was before we saw it, the CD, I'm sure you're hearing it, CSD, triple Ds, is the corporate due diligence of the supply chain. So you will see all your organization, how it works. It doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow, but it's, as before it was said, we have, as Natalia said before, and it's collaboration. It's not a regulatory compliance tick the box. This has to be part of your organization, has to see your models, how you operate, and step by step you do it, because it's all affected. So this is the energy. So when they started, European Union, it's just the picture to see, it's only pictures now. It's just everything comes with the puzzles. and the pictures, the dots, again, you see it's 2006 they started, as lawyers we had. When we have shipping clients, oil companies, we have to be alert, we try. So we have what are energy rules for EU, and this is where we end up. Also, Mr. Panagidis said them before. Sorry, again. This is what came now after 2000. They reinstated, Ursula von der Leyen, when she re-elected, she stated that, is that EU countries are required to achieve cumulative end-use energy savings for the entire obligation period from 2021 to 2030, equivalent to the new annual savings of, and they split it, at least, I don't think you can see it from here, 0.8 of final energy consumption, at least 1.3% in 2024-2025, 1.5% 2026 to 2027, and at least 1.9% 2028-2030. These slides, you will get them, and they will share. So, again, just to understand where it was coming from, the EU budget for 2022, this is what came from, but this is the best you have for energy. They gave a lot of emphasis on energy, and because a lot of the budget of the energy, 32% was going to natural gas. These are statistics of the European Union. Based on the statistics, some are started faster than the others, than other tools. So they realized how they will contract to fight, not fight, it's just how to divert, it was through the funds. So the energy topic split now, I don't know if you can see them, is energy efficiency, renewable energy, markets and consumers, energy strategy, carbon management, fossil fuels, research, funding, finance, international cooperation, nuclear energy. You see all the tools we saw before and all the sustainable development goals, Europe got them under the energy topic. So getting one of those topics, they have one plan for each, but all fall under EU energy policy. So depending where you are involved, where the company is involved, the organization is involved, you may have to see 2 or 3 topics and 2 or 3 tools and how to connect them. But you see the main, that's why I highlighted, in all, and this is what they started it, energy efficiency, reducing, essential to deliver European Green Deal. This is what you have to show, either to the government or to the banks, that the banks also, they have to say, if I'm financing you, how you support European Green Deal, what you will do, and what you are supposed to do, to which of all these tools can support. And if you can support it, you're okay. So this is the energy, you see, affordable, came to all. This is what I wanted to show you, it connects. This is again from European Union, to have affordable and clean energy. They started in 2021, share renewable energy, keep home adequately warm, and how to support, and also Mr. Paragis said, the governments are financing some things, but then it's up to the consumer how to forward, because they put terms and conditions. So we said again, Europe, and we come to that, now what it comes out, and I'm sure you have heard it, but now it's been renewed. European Union support European Green Deal because it comes to the financing and to the loaning and the funding, is they created the Innovation Fund, is to contribute to the goals to the European Green Deal, help business invest in clean energy and industry, boost economic growth, create future-proof jobs, and reinforce European technological leaderships at a global scale, as before was said, for AI. AI is part of all this. It's one of us to support, it's a tool to support the businesses. So I'm ending, this is the whole thing. So what they wanted is employment of net zero, I'm sure, 2 minutes, done. And innovative technologies. So all these are what's happening. Now, okay, Europe is a little bit slow on some things, but have to gather all the data and comes out and presents them. This is what happened actually the last 3 months, actually, the new one. So what they say is the key finding instrument for delivering EU economies-wide commitments under Paris Agreement, the climate and energy priorities to put forward under the Euro plan, Hydrogen Bank for the hydrogen, and Green Deal Industrial Plan, and the Net Zero Industry Act. And this is what they're coming now in Parliament, and you have a lot of directives, efficiencies, which is a form, it's a framework. So when they came out and they say, I'm not going to go through this, but if you say applicants do no significant harm, all these principles, especially the most important is that do not no significant harm, it already exists in one directive. So they're connecting everything. So it's good to be your regulatory compliance team to understand and your corporate governance so they can guide you and you can give them the feedback, the technological feedback, because it's a teamwork. So renewable energy, generation, ETS directive. So the sustainable finance, there's a lot of directives. I know it's a lot of regulation, but if you add them all together, you will get there. Unfortunately, we have to comply with that as Cyprus. Okay, this is what is the innovation fund, depending where you want to go. You select that. So we don't have the time. So European Green Deal is the roadmap to sustainable and resilient economies. This is what they said. We had some videos of the European Union, but because of the war last night, it's been changed. So we haven't done it. So sustainable finance. You have environmental aspects, you have social aspects, and 5 government institutions. This is how it's connected. You have reorienting capital flows. This is how it goes. This started in 2018, come out, 2021 was reassured, reaffirmed, not reassured. So it was to be disclosure accounting, you have corporate, you see they connected everything. Ratings, prudential requirements, asset managers, who runs your assets. Also, what do you do internally? Accounting and corporate governance. And this is how they connected all. This is. So they gave some tools, and now they're connected. So you have more private capital for environmental sustainable investment, foster transparency and long terms in financial economic activities, shipping, oil, CSN activity, manage financial risks for climate, and is part of the European Green Deal. So this is the tools. Actually, effectively, the major things on the top, and then it breaks, is EU taxonomy and disclosures. EU taxonomy is the taxonomy regulation. Disclosures is SFDR, Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, is what you give to the consumers. Then everything comes below, but they are there. And then the tools. So this is the new package, how they did it. So this is the regulatory approach. I went it up here. You have the investments, bank lending, sustainability data, where the artificial intelligence comes, boards and members, due diligence obligations. So, and you come down, you have benchmark, labels, so they're all connected. This is what I wanted to end up. Somehow, all are connected. This is just an idea for how they saw and they did the cycle, and they closed it, the energy cycle. How they closed this, assessment and diagnostics, financing strategy, monitoring and review, governance and coordination. And they closed up the circle. So a business, organization, employment, everything is in it. So this is a sustainable finance framework. When you say sustainable finance, effectively is another name for what is your framework for operation. It's finance, but it's not only finance. So you have assurance, reporting, management loan process, project evaluation, use of process statement, framework and enhancement, and then it splits. This is just for you an idea, and we close it because it's not something we woke up and reminded. This is ESMA. I go back to the sustainable funds where we started, because it was the European securities market, in Cyprus, the Cyprus securities market, and then how they started and connected everything. They started from the finance team, and then from that, everything split. So they had, Europe decided that they have not to hit. First thing, because of movement, everything was the asset management. It was where the funds go, where the money. When we say funds, we mean the money, the financing. So they started from the persons that are controlled by ESMA, And then as well, we have ECB, we have all the three areas, but it started from that. So they connected all the dots. So you see, this is how they ended up. I'm showing you just to know that it's SDG, is not ESG, what it says there, Sustainable Development Goals. How they connected, so they're all together. So this is the energy sector, how they see it in Europe, but this idea is the infographic. So coming to an end, ESG considerations should be considered in the whole level of an organization. And because energy is shown and it's a fighter of our climate, that's why it seems first, because it's something we can see. That's it. So just the framework, everything connects. This is where I know. That's it. Any questions? Sorry, let's fast forward. Too many things. Any questions? We can have later. Anna, you want to? Sorry. Sorry, I can't.
We have seen in one of from your slides regarding these sustainable goals, 17 ones that we have split them into a framework of time in order to reach them until 2030. Some of them were from 2019 until 2024. From your perspective, how much do you think we managed to reach these goals regarding sustainable future?
As Cyprus or as Europe?
Please give us both.
Both. For Cyprus, because I can tell because I've been part of some of these things and as invited to the parliament, we are moving not that fast because we had COVID and also the haircut, so there was a delay. Cyprus is delayed. In Europe, now, believe it or not, after Brexit, they are moving faster on some things. And now they changed it 2030 to 2050. That's why they're new. Can I have the previous? Can we have the previous slides, please? One of they understood that it's because they have to control 27 now member states and not the Brexit, so they moved the 2030 to 2050. The fit 50, 55, if you heard, and 50. So it's moving not as fast as they could, but the first one, and with the big one. The 17, ναι, το 17. Πήγα πίσω. Αυτό. No, sorry. You're talking about this, right? All the 17, yes. In some of them, I said, the understanding was 2030. The 2030, strictly speaking, is not easy to happen. But at least they are trying. So what now, I'm telling you off the record, please don't quote me on that, but what they're trying is at least for 2030 to manage the governance, the G. And governance, it was always there. It's just now to be enforced. This is the whole thing of all the companies coming out, not the companies, sorry, the member states coming out and say, enforce corporate governance. And now how they're trying to enforce it is because they have it in the laws. Also in Cyprus, we had it in the laws. For example, companies law, you hear it as corporate governance. But when we say governance, we mean how the board is made, how the shareholders are made. All these, the G, are trying to at least do it up to 2030. Cyprus has the laws, they just have to enforce it. It's not something new we're doing. The major problem we have, and in Europe and in Cyprus, is E, the environment. Because if you see under environment, you have water, you have climate actions, you have construction, and the energy, of course. But the thing sometimes is not that easy. We are moving, we are doing regulation. Personally, I'm not in favor of regulations or directives or the laws. It's not about the laws or anything, it's just how to apply it. So it's the mindset. So this is what they realized in Europe, and hopefully it will be done in all member states, and hopefully in Cyprus, because we had it, it's not something new, is to correct the governance, at least until 2030. But so in every country, in every organization, you have to do the governance. So it's good to have a good corporate governance officers and also regulatory governance. There are two separate things. Okay, in Cyprus they mix the two, but you need the separation. So it's another thing, the regulatory, to know all the legislations. It's another thing how you operate. Corporate governance is an internal thing. It's not an external. So I don't know if that.
Thank you very much. Yes, you covered me. If I can add something more, it's of course all these are very interesting, but all these things will be managed to be covered by the people. So it's important to not forget to invest also in humans, and despite from AI to EQ as well, because all this will be possible to be done if we invest also to people, because at the end these are the
Totally, that's why I was hearing you, and I totally agree. If you see, sustainability is in the middle. All the three is planet, profit, people. People are employees, are all connected, stakeholders, so you have to, an organization is based on their people. So now you see in the governance, a lot of people are doing the employment laws. So, okay, some are right, some are wrong, but you have the rights, the human rights, and a lot of people say human rights. Okay, human rights is not only the employment rights, it's a lot of things, so. Right. Anyone else? Okay.